Welcome back, you beautiful bloody legends. We're here for a second match of the day. I'm here joined by my beautiful co-host Connie, as per usual.
Oh, Remy.
Yeah, I know. I love to flatter you, but we've got a beautiful match here. Speaking of things that are beautiful, beautiful series. Colorado State versus CSUN Esports. This is going to be a banger matchup here for map number 2.
Absolutely, and this is a top-of-the-table clash here in the West Pacific Conference. If you look at the overall records, I mean, this is where things start to get a little bit dicey. We're looking at California State Northridge so far being undefeated, ranked 11th in the CCL top 25. Colorado State are second in the overall leaderboard. And in terms of actually what we should look out for in this matchup, both teams to mention going into the top division after the restructure this weekend. So in terms of what you should expect, I mean, in the Western Belt in particular, we're going to be seeing the top 5 teams across both divisions going into one super group, and then of course the bottom 5 from both teams, both divisions going into the second group. So we're going to be seeing both these teams getting battled out from now until March to get to that conference playoff point. But I mean, again, when you look at the records themselves, Colorado State have lost 2, but I mean, Northridge again, they are the favorites to be, and they're the only ranked team so far in this particular conference. And when we look in terms of what really can be standouts in this particular head-to-head, I mean, when it comes to Colorado State and for Northridge, they've won a bye. They've won against at least now a forfeit from the second team for California State Northridge. And in terms of what the head-to-head's saying and where the numbers are placed, I mean, this is really where we see Colorado again having struggles on Red Card Hardpoint, Protocol S&D, Vault Control. But, I mean, when it comes to Skyline, they are particularly fond, and even Vault Hardpoint as well. And these are things to mention that Colorado need to have placed in the map selection today, Remy, to stand a chance against the group favorites.
Well, I was about to say, let's bring up the maps, because we have a very interesting set of vetoes. In the last series, Vault and Red Card were completely banned in every game mode. Here we have a little Vault Red Card sandwich, if you will. We've got the triple cheeseburger here. Hassie in the middle of this series. Hassie Search, Hassie Control, and Hassie Hardpoint. These teams seem to love it. It's a tried and true classic. We've seen it for many times now in Black Ops 6, and it plays pretty well, and I think teams are liking the fact that it's a little bit slower pace because it's a bigger map. It's a bit of a wider scale than some of these other ones, but a Vault Hardpoint to kick things off. First time we're going to see it today, and I think that we're going to see a nice little series here develop. A triple Hassie, Connie.
I know, and if you look at Colorado State as well, they are petrified of Skyline right now at the end before the restructure begins. So it's interesting to see now from the start of the split, where they were pretty much picking it the majority of their series, to now being more comfortable in Hacienda, keeping Vault as their primary option in the hard point. I mean, when you look over towards Northridge as well, I mean, they've got a bit more of a spread here, and they've opted to get rid of the Vault Control, whereas CSU didn't want to play the Protocol, left with the Hacienda. Yeah, a nice little shift in terms of what can be expected, but in terms of overall map layout, I mean, speed is of the essence here. I mean, these are 3 very quick maps, and even a Red Card S&D, you can scale it up to speed, knowing particularly where the favorite bomb site is, of course, in that VIP area.
Well, I think that Vault, as a start, will give us a pretty good gauge of where these teams are going to be at. And we say that a lot for these series, right? Vault, Hardpoint, or Skyline Hardpoint, or whatever, right? Will give us a gauge of the series. But I think Vault is a really good testament to how your subs are going to be shooting, how they're going to be playing, are they going to be routing properly, how the ARs are going to be holding down positions, are they going to be able to get spawns, are they going to be able to hold them? You know, how on the ball is the team? Because in the last series, we saw like pretty much a 100-point club. But in that being said, we saw these trends start to develop very, very early between the two teams, and they always start as kind of small faults or cracks, and they exacerbate over the series to see how they develop and really is the downfall of certain teams. And I think it's really interesting to see and highlight. So without further ado, let's get into map number 1, Vault Hardpoint between 2 Titan matchups.
Absolutely. I mean, the first and second in the West Pacific Conference, nothing quite as special as a modern day classic. First v second. And Colorado State, again, coming in at the heavy underdogs, just outside of the CCL top 25 ranking and taking a big step up in competition with your 11th ranked in America in California State University, Northridge. And we've seen them before, again, in the S&D kickoff, Remy, where they were going up against St. Clair. They were going up against some of the big boys in the CCL, and they were putting in good work in their search and destroy. So expect that to be a footnote in the best of 5 as we get stuck into the action here in Vault. Hardpoint, 3 layers of verticality, 100 miles an hour top speed across every single lane, and Rue is not messing around early on in the opening entry. The first 4 points go to way of Northridge.
Yeah, and 4 hit around the cat side of the map. Making it very awkward for CSUN to deal with. Colorado State, though, doing a great job of at least eliminating some of these targets out of that point. Keep the time white as they do go for the flip immediately, and does pay off for them. So P2 spawns are going to be in looks for the side of CSUN. Some great gunfights in the middle of the map to at least lock in some time here on P1. Give yourself some leeway for P2. But P2 really is the money here, and that's what we're going to see here shortly is people are going to start routing, they're going to start playing, and they need to start making these kills shortly. You got 14 seconds left to get to the next hill.
And Northridge already showed no experience in actually making sure all utility is spent on the P1. Colorado did the exact same strategy, but in terms of the map control, they're letting it slip a little bit here. We saw Northridge right in that last segment go towards the south side of the map, but Colorado State, thanks to the opening gunfights from Corkegg and Strike, actually retained spawns. The push, though, was very aggressive, and the grouping's fantastic from Northridge, as they got more players on the south side for a rebreak attempt. The 1v1 in the middle of the map here is quite crucial, and Ruse made a fantastic kill. Colorado State pushing in single file formation towards the point.
Yeah, Optimal Flames getting some nice kills. Fortunately, a team kill netted in there. Blinky now trying to push the pace towards this hill. Player prone in the back. Take care of him pretty easily. Swings around as well for the help with Guilty. A lot of P2 time just getting soaked up here for CSUN off the behind as well on the rotation. They didn't have those spawns. They were able to just go in pretty much for free, spawning them deep, and now you can see this rotation from Slifer. It's massive. He's got the pinch going on as well from the help of his teammate Guilty. They do get the pick in the back. There is one more play to deal with. The sub is shooting from Slifer, and that'll be a massive series of kills to grab them spawns immediately for P3. You've got some players to deal with on the left side here if he can find them. I don't think he will. And at least Colorado State are able to grab some time here, if only momentarily. I know, and Northridge have the spawns, technically, the better portion of them, on this brand new hill. And look at what Colorado have to do from the backside here. Watch the mid for any flanks from extra spawn traps. They can be devastating and can convert a huge money hill, which if we look at Northridge's position as well, I mean, 9 points on the scoreboard so far for Colorado State. What has happened there, Remy, from the boys in green? It has been a struggle to break onto most of the hills. They had rotations for P2 pretty much confirmed after a sacrificial P1. And look at the way Northridge are playing this one. They're grouped together in 4. They're finding beautiful wipes in the feed, and we're relying a lot here on Slifer and Blinky, mainly the two coordinating around the hill to push out deep spawns to Colorado State and soak up time. I mean, I gotta say, it was just a beautiful play from CSUN. They are so ahead of the game when it comes to this. Guilty as well, spotting this player and a second one at the back for the 6th streak. Has the help of his teammate here. They are working together so well for the side of CSUN. They're making rotations not as solos, but as duos, pinching as well, not just running through the middle of the map like we saw from Colorado State. They were all playing their part here, and it's netting them in some big kills. Guilty around the side with the help of Blinky is able to continue on this spree. Could be a Hellstorm here on the 9, and it is as well. So he locks in that time, locks in that kill, and that is what we're seeing here from CSUN time and time again for a 9-point only, Connie, on the hard point. I don't like to highlight the bad plays, but when it's this brutal, you kind of have to. And Colorado do very well there to break onto the point, and they bunker up with 3 players. They have to try and close this gap. 100 points is not fantastic in the first set of rotations. Still, though, when it comes to Vault, very easy to come back from if Call of Duty is played to perfection. And what we've seen in their system so far, again, is just having that blocker at least behind enemy lines to secure spawns for Colorado State. But what is so punishing about Northridge when you play them in a hardpoint, Remy, is they're one of the best breaking teams so far, not just in the Western Belt, but across the whole CCL. You're seeing Blinky and Rue right now actually opening up the map with some fluid movement. The submachine guns seem to be held up at all times as well, which, as we know in Vault, is one of the more core fundamentals. It's an easy close proximity spawn map. And Blinky's just buying time here, distracting Colorado State by being a nuisance in the back. Oh my god, yeah, he's doing a lot of damage for the side of Colorado State. Unfortunately, they won't be able to deal with him too quickly. He's on a 4 streak. and they still have control of this P1 and P2 spawns. Like, this is a brutal series of kills, but Optimal Flames gets a 3-piece back, but Blinky's still on the streak. You need to take him down. He's on a 6 spree. Reloading, switching the gun. There's no way he does it to him. Oh my god, I would have lost my mind. Still not quite. 34 points for Colorado State. P2 coming online shortly. And, I mean, the scoreline's not telling an interesting game, but there's been some interesting moments for sure. As they soak up this 14 seconds and lock up P2, and number one's gone outside the map and died. So, I don't know if he's lagged out or what's happened there. Maybe it's some COD magic. Yeah, I think he has lagged out. So, I don't know if we'll get a reset. We'll wait to see, but for now, we'll play on as they are 174-34, and I think they can afford to lose someone even for a little bit.
Of course, team decisions are going to be crucial here. We have lost a player from Northridge's side, so it's up to the referees and admins to decide what to do. As communication ensues, though, of Northridge and potentially what they've built here, 130-point gap. Now, are they cocky enough to try and convert this map with 3 players against 4? Bear in mind, this is number 1 and 2 in the Western Belt group, so this is, you know, not just a test for Colorado State with all of their roster and shooting the map, but against the number 1, arguably, again, the Goliath in the group, and one of the, top 11 teams here in America. Can they stand their might? Can they stand the test of time? And simply put here again, scrap time will go to where Colorado State, albeit a 4th player instead of the additional one onto Northridge, and they are starting to now find a bit more room on the map. I wonder why, Remy.
Yeah, sneaky suspicion it has to be due to that 4th player, but you know, it's one of those situations you can't do much about it. At least it'll make it a little bit interesting for this series so far, this map, because it was a pretty sad sight before. I just hope he can join soon, because if not, this is going to be pretty brutal. They're getting some big time, and they're able to soak it all up. You got Strike up top, 5 streak as well for him. What can you really do if you're the side of...
In this situation as well, they're playing together as a pack of 3, but they're always going to have the man advantage on the side of Colorado State, which is punishing. We look towards this hill as well. It relies a lot here on Slifer and Rue with submachine guns to make sure spawns are not in control of Colorado State, because even with the extra player having spawn control in this portion will give them the extra man in the head-to-head gunfights. Whereas if they were to run around and be nuisances but keep hills contested, I can see this pretty much being an awkward split where the majority of hills, in their case, to do well would have to be white for 40 seconds, get 15 seconds of scrap time, and constantly apply pressure to Colorado State, because at this point in time, it's still only an 80-point margin, and we're seeing Northridge now on the suboptimal strategy, playing for 5 seconds scrap time on each hill and retaking to new with a man down.
Yeah, at least Guilty's back in the game now. He has joined up. He is back to play.
Oh, fantastic.
Some kills coming out from Colorado State, and we are seeing some value still being gained from them, even though there's 4 players on the map now, but Blinky comes back with a 2, and it's like a new breath of life has been brought back into CSUN. Of course, that's kind of what you expect. It's going to be a 3v4. You're going to lose some time. You're going to lose some gunfights. You're going to lose some hills. But Guilty in the back, and he's ready to play. Able to find a big 2. Opens things up for this point. And now, you see Colorado State. They are scared. They are trying to dash to the hill. And this could be where they lock in the time and shut things down. I would have been interested to see what the score would have been if Guilty hadn't have disconnected. But... you know, theoretics, there's 2 players spawned in the back. Guilty's just on a tear. He's come back with a vengeance.
Incredible shooting,
making sure, yeah. He's making sure they're not going out without a fight.
No, absolutely. And what was so interesting about Northridge in this situation, this is probably the first time ever in the COD match where I've seen someone disconnect and then go, oh, are you still winning, guys? Yeah, about 100 points. All right, now I'll join up again. You know, it's just like the instant reaction, the open lobby situation where I've never seen someone join back mid-map to come in and just, you know, add the numbers back into the field and allow Northridge to get pressure back on the board.
Yeah, I'll mess around and just pop a 6 spree real quick. Don't worry about me, boys. I'm coming back in. Strike, though, on the 4. Still trying to keep things alive for Colorado State, but... I mean, at this point, obviously, it doesn't matter. They're so far behind, and Guilty's on an 8 spree. He's just going on a tear. Aqua at least with some nice shots to take him down, but wow, he just comes in with an 8 spree out of nowhere. That was actually insane, but 244. Aqua's going to make one more push to the point, but it's a pretty sad finish for Colorado State as they kind of go down here in the last moments of the hard point. Yeah, it was a nice attempt, I guess, in the hard point from Colorado State, but ultimately they were outmatched, outclassed, and outgunned in every aspect of this map, and they were looking pretty solid. CSUN going forward, like this was a very, very dominant performance. You pretty much gave them 83 points, and I don't know, this would have been a pretty, I guess, concerning scoreline from Colorado State if this continued with 4 players.
Absolutely, and this is also the best hardpoint map for Colorado State, Remy. When you actually look at the overall standings, I mean, they're 3-1 in Vault hardpoint, and they usually win by a comfortable 60-70 point margin across the rest of the teams within the Western Pacific Belt. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Against CSUN, an absolute demolition job, a 250-117. We pull up the line graph for you just to see if time changed hands at any point throughout the 2 sets of rotations. The short answer is no. The gap closed again from P1 to P2 on the brand new set of rotations. That was again due to Guilty lagging out, and still, when you actually look at the time they accrued, I mean, they didn't get any time on P1 to P2, but they still got 16 points with 3 against 4, and also left the majority of the hill contested via scrap time. So I have to say that even as a core of 3 against 4 of Colorado State, I mean, CSUN, absolutely fantastic. Given the cards were down and, you know, they were against the odds, they still put in a very good fight. It was just thankful again for Guilty to join back the lobby and pick up where he left off and immediately get a 6-3 on the bounce, Remy. How often do you see this? Not so much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a 174 to 34 point differential, and I'm sure it was even higher than that. Oh, no, it wasn't. It literally just stayed at 174. That's when he disconnected. So, yeah, I mean, look, that's a pretty insane 150-point difference. It's rare that you see it against 2. Like, I got to give Colorado State at least some credit here. It wasn't like they were that horrific, right? Like, it wasn't
Absolutely.
like they were playing terrible. They were missing all their shots. They were getting turned on. You know when you see a bad team against a good team, it's pretty evident, like, the individual skill level just isn't there, right? Not to mention the game. But I think CSUN were just playing so good, so consistent, so ahead of the ball, just making the right plays, the right kills, just approaching everything so much better than Colorado State. That is why you're seeing such a differential. Don't get me wrong, Colorado State isn't at the level of CSUN in the gunfights. Sure, you know, you can have that, but it's not the main thing. It's not like they can't hang, they can't get these kills. You saw a 3 versus 4. We've seen it before, Connie, where someone disconnects and the 3 versus 4 still wins. Like, they just keep smoking them because they're so far ahead. But you saw they weren't allowing them to get any points, you know, blah, 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 blah. Yes, it's the 3 versus 4, but my point being is that there actually isn't a crazy individual skill difference. And coming into Search and Destroy, I think that we might see some more potential here from Colorado State. I said it in the last matchup with the similar scoreline in the first map, and we saw it. It went to a round 11. I'm going to expect to see this here. If they can take this Search and Destroy, they might set themselves up nicely to at least see, you know, map 4, maybe potentially map 5. If they get the control, might have to be a Neslo again, 2-3-5s. But yeah, I think that they have set themselves up. CSUN nicely to go ahead in this series, but Colorado State looking, at least in my mind, not so bad on the Search and Destroy, I would assume.
Absolutely. And when it comes to the actual understanding of Colorado State, they've only really lost a protocol S&D so far upon, you know, reflecting of the overall results so far in this division, and they banned it straight away for this one against the best team in the division. So, I mean, honestly, when it comes to pure instincts, they know what they're doing, they're tracking the results well, and now we're in the stage again where they're still, you know, refining their strategy, but they know, have a really clear picture on what they should not play against stronger opposition. So, coming into Hacienda S&D, I mean, it is open book for them. They haven't got many reps on this map. I mean, overall on the record, they're 1-1 on it, Remy, which is a very small sample size now leading into a division restructure against, you know, better teams, to put it lightly, because with these 2 teams qualifying now into the division restructure to go into a larger pool of the West Belt, this is where we start to have to assess their performances now on a bigger scale, not just against, you know, the opening bracket and where they can play things. Have they really tested their map pool, and have they really developed as a team? I mean, those are the 2 questions to ask, and albeit this sort of test isn't really fair in the sense of, are they up to par with some of the best in the CCL? I mean, in terms of the rebuild so far, the S&Ds, I can't really say any complaints in terms of the performances. They seem like a very comfortable S&D team. Overall record, again, is still at a nice 3-3, but again, I mean, in terms of what we see in CCL and how the teams practice that game mode, primarily it's your hard points and your controls, Remy. You know the best. You know the set of 8 scrims.
Yeah.
And in terms of like catching up now, I think this is where we start to see teams really honing the S&D and seeing where the big dogs can make their breakaway. Colorado State, if they get on the development wave early on and start really focusing on this to build into their series, you call it a Neslo, and I'll be in the same sort of court of agreement here. That's where lots of the lower ranking teams tend to pick, you know, the big teams out when they over focus on the hard point. Hacienda S&D, I mean, it's always a 50-50. But in terms of Colorado, they need this one to even see a map 4.
Yeah, this is a big map for for Colorado State. I mean, I got to say it. Plain and simply, they're not winning the control very comfortably. If this continues, we have to see how they go in the search and destroy, at least have a bit of pride. And so far, some big gunfights going out in the middle of the map, and we do see an advantage start to develop for Colorado State. Blinky getting overpressured here, but does get a kill, gets out with his life as well. So very awkward gunfights. You can see the ARs trying to trade it out, but it's not going to happen. And 2 versus 2 ensues, and bombs starting to go down for Korkev.
Oh, this is great discipline as well from Northridge. The discipline and Blinky's rewrap and a teammate's information as well from middle just to watch the cross. That is so technical. I mean, they could have called in a player. Once Blinky was getting tagged up in garage, you could call him for help because the pinch was there and the timing was open for a move. But they both decided, again, they were both isolated in 1v1s against a block of 2. Let me just use myself here in this position to get information on your push back. I mean, Blinky read the call perfectly. Just a bit too much of a static and over-adjusting setup where they were spinning round in circles on that bomb site and not really focusing on how simply they had it done. An AR posted up, holding either lane or either door. Only 3 entry points. Colorado really panicked. It's 1-0 to Northridge. They're now on the attacking side. Float with bomb towards mid. Have to dodge from set nades, though, because in terms of Colorado, they've really spread out this round. In turn of it, though, Rude's got the first blood.
Striking fast, CSUN able to get the advantage. Bomb as well in the hands of Slifer, looking to try and go down on A. No one here to try and contest from Colorado State. They are trying to wrap through. You've got a player up top, maybe to try and do something, but they are watching it pretty heavily. Another player as well on the sides. Rue 2 for the round, Guilty with a third as well. Strike now in 1 versus 4, and what's looking like a pretty fast round from CSUN, and might put them up 2-0, but Strike, we're going to give it a crack. Going to try, is able to find Slifer, but very little HP to work with and very little gunfights, but does find 2, Connie.
Absolutely, and look at the skulls and where they're found. I mean, Northridge don't even need to push the situation here, and they've got a very punishing setup. 1 in fences, 1 behind Shack. I mean, Strike has to clear 17 angles, Remy, just on mathematics alone. He spots 1, but again, the timing and the slide are just, you know, a slaughter for Northridge. 1 is the bait, the other switches to get the kill. The vault over the fence. And yeah, we're just seeing lots of patterns emerging here now from Colorado. They are unfavorably getting into the 1vx situations early on in the round. I mean, they did in fact get the first blood in the first round, but situationally speaking, when they're in the advantage, they like playing tight. And I think Northridge now is starting to read that if we find 1 of them, or even spot 1 information, you bet 3 of them are behind them. So they're just really easy play calls to make for a really spread adjustment and high pivot team like Northridge. So seeing Colorado spread out and play it slow is their only option here. They both commit towards A, but Colorado again are clearing through the middle of the map here, and Strike has to avoid lines of sight here. He's carrying bomb.
Rue up top with Slifer, able to find 2 immediately. CSUN just finding so much value. Slifer with 2, almost with the third as well, sorry. And Colorado State wiped off the map before we even see him. Crazy stuff from CSUN, and I think I can confidently say an outclassing. It was in the hard point. Usually you see a team fight back on search and destroy. It's even more sad right now that Colorado State are struggling. And I mean, it's not even their fault. It's CSUN just playing so well and making this so simple in terms of how they're playing, in terms of how it looks, in terms of this map, in terms of the series. Playing very confident, Connie.
And what's interesting as well is that we can't deny, you know, Northridge and their technical team and the coaching staff behind them, because their veto has been pretty flawless for this series. Got rid of red card hardpoint, which is Colorado State's best hardpoint. Although they chose to get rid of the protocol S&D, it's also Colorado's worst. So they're playing kind of on equal footing in this sense. But really the control as well, they're getting rid of Vault in that regard. Okay, they actually kind of know where Northridge might have an opportunity to strike or what footage they have of them. Because as this round has played out, Colorado, let's zone in for a second here, Remy, and how they've adjusted to this one. Hang on a minute. Again, close to the mark, but the behavior is much better. I mean, I coloured the whole round in terms of how we can just see both teams, you know, match up to each other in terms of the vetoes and coaching staff, but that was actually a really good round from Colorado, and they got a man advantage, which is a stark contrast to the prior 4 and what we're usually seeing. They are adjusting well, definitely as well through middle of the map, which is always a high octane area, a huge 50 in terms of getting that first blood trade out. And I think now we're just seeing, you know, much better tendencies from Colorado to not panic, because that's been a core focus so far in the opening rounds. And they're definitely now just slowing the heart rate down and really picking their moments where they can find them.
Yeah, I mean, it's rare as well to see a first blood come from Colorado State, but let alone to play the advantage and get there. But look at the strat from Colorado. Able to get onto B site, going down as well. So this is a post plant on the B site. And you've got number 7, Blinky, who's able to aim up these kills. And that's going to be 2 freebies. Slife with the nade over the top as well. They get completely shut down. And an RC to boot for Guilty. They go up 4-1. They're looking good, Connie. Nothing much to say about these rounds, all things considered. CSUN just looking super dominant. You saw the attempt there from Colorado State. They tried to 4-stack B, get the bomb down quickly. Blinky's there, though, in the boathouse, just looking to line them all up. And he does so pretty convincingly.
I know Blinky made a fantastic route through the back just to open up a huge angle where, fortunately enough, and similar now information habits are creeping back in for Colorado. Why are there 4 players on that bomb site? There's no need. It's way too open. You have punishing ARs on Northridge, and even in the post-man situation, there's no time to adjust because the read and the situation now that Northridge find these key patterns and understand that if we get one information call, the whole team will be there. It's just a big asterisk next to Colorado State, and it needs to change drastically. Looking at the split now, it's a 2-2 buddy system, floating towards B. However, Northridge on the attacking round have gone towards A, and look at how they adjust in the situation. They send one through to the other side of spawn. Meanwhile, there's a little system of an overwatch where we are going to have a body block to cover the bomb.
I mean, even Korkev looking a little bit awkward in that spot. You can see 2 kills dropping now. The pre-fire from Blinky almost comes through, not quite. Now it's trying to hunt him down. Aqua getting in an awkward engagement. He'll be a free pick as well. Strike now left in the 1 versus 5. Shots going out, and it's so depressing to watch for Colorado State because they have these ideas, they have these systems they want to implement, but it's just not enough. It's not winning them these rounds. It's not good enough to go up against the Titan that is CSUN, and it's showing in every aspect of their game. And it's just tough scenes, right? This is for top cut, I believe. So Colorado State to go down like this would be a pretty brutal loss for them.
Absolutely, and it's also in a weird sense, Remy, not the worst loss you could have throughout the whole season. Like I said, both teams have qualified for the top division when the restructure happens this weekend. So for Colorado State, it is a great learning experience. For Northridge, they're looking for a flawless finish here in the opening section of CCL 2025. So it really is going to be a great VOD session afterwards, right? I mean, look towards this break off again here. They commit as a 4 towards B. 2 set let's go over the top and a stun match in middle. But again, they're committing really aggressive mantles. Blinky's finding another awkward off angle. This could be very punishing, Rem.
Is this the route man getting paid? Not quite. They are aware of it. Maybe they heard him, but it's 2 kills going towards Colorado State. Maybe they hang on for another round here. Guilty as well in the back. Now trying to get aggressive, does get taken out. So Colorado State set themselves up pretty nicely for this round. As Slifer is yet again in a 1 versus 4. He almost got the 1 versus 3 last time. Didn't come through. I doubt he'll be able to get a 1 versus 4. 27 seconds left. He'll get shot in the back. And Colorado State will take a second round here and at least a sign of life. I like that round of them. They were pretty aware. They were playing together. They did 4-man that B side again. This time it goes their way.
Yes, and when you look into the technical side of it as well, Remy, I'm also in the same group as you. Why are they doing the 4B again? Well, the big adjustment was they actually took on a high pivot stance, and they had the markers already. Equally where we see Colorado give away information on why the stackers are 4 and how one call can change the round. Well, they realized again from the rounds they've lost that Blinky loves to deep flank, so we have to have someone watching behind us at all times because he can find the path. And they also again know that Rue likes the first blood, so we have to avoid open space, or at least have an AR posted up alongside another AR to get that first blood. So it was well executed. Now look towards the middle of the map though. Again, CSUN responding in quick fashion, trying to convert the S&D.
I like the strat from Korkev, trying to shoulder the angle, might catch Slifer here off guard. The shot's not quite going his way though, and you can see how the trade's coming in from Rue, the pinch as well in the back from Blinky. It's everyone firing on all cylinders here yet again for CSUN. Aqua with a nice shell there, able to get that kill at least. So 2 versus 2 is what we're left with, but they do have the information from both sides, realistically, as Aqua tries to push up and grab these players out of spawn, but they're going deep, and the shot's just not connecting, Connie.
And it's a lot slower now from Northridge. Definitely in a panic situation. They're not in the optimal spot here on the map. Stuck in spawn. Colorado have got plenty of time to play with, and Rue's using the RC car. So, given the camera angle as well, not really getting a great field of view, and although it's shot down, look at what Colorado do. They flood towards A, predicting the push, but Northridge held on to set nades, 28 seconds left. They have to find a cheeky route.
Aqua in a massive position here to maybe line up 2, but he gets taken out. It's a massive bait and switch, unintentionally probably. Optimal Flames though, or Aqua, sorry, Optimal Flames, it trips me out every time. But 1 versus 1, at least he makes it. 12 seconds left. Optimal Flames now knows the bomb was planted. Rue's able to reposition. It's a tense 1v1. Optimal Flames getting aggressive to 360. Optimal Flames. Massive kill from him. Wow. I mean, you might as well style on him. They've been smoking you. You come back with a nice kill of your own, and they hang on for another round, Connie. And this is where we can maybe get in the territory of what ifs.
A lovely 1v2 from Optimal Flames, and definitely the back of his teammate dying in tin to get the information across. I mean, positionally speaking, it's nice to see it's in a 2v2 situation that Colorado go for more of a spread, 1 in mid, 1 on site, whereas Northridge packed together like wolves. So nice to see the contrasting styles. Both can win in a 2v2, but the timings are always going to be debating the existence of what kills can be converted, right? So Colorado State now somewhat in the game, 3-5. Very positive look so far and some clean rounds to convert, although Northridge now starting to understand where we're seeing the changes. Look at the north side of the map, though. It's all white.
Yeah. They were expecting this B hit, and it is an A. You've got Rue here at most to try and stop these kills, and he does find one. That's a freebie that they've given up. They do get some information, though. They are down. This is a free kill on the A side, and unfortunately, they're getting picked apart time and time again. Korkev now left out, and it's all up to Optimal Flames. It was a good crack from Colorado State. Now Optimal Flames left in a 1 versus 4. Will get timing here, potentially. I don't know if that player saw him. He did, and the knife as well. Ooh. What a sad end to that. I was getting excited, man, and then he just comes out and shakes him. It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It is, but I kind of look back in this Search to Destroy and don't see it like the hard point for Colorado State. There definitely needs to be development for both teams in terms of improving the overall game plan and even synergizing as a team, because when it comes to the task cohesion, yes, Colorado State loves sticking together. For Northridge, however, I think, especially knowing their confidence levels and their overall skill gap against Colorado State, there were obviously moments again where they're over-challing, a bit over-aggressive, and the rounds did not go their way, and Colorado State just stuck to a simple system to convert. If you look overall at what the round breakdown was, 2 diffusers, the rest of the rounds, of course, were eliminations. So, go to show you again what Colorado were trying to avoid for the most part, knowing again that the set strategy from Northridge was just to try and roundhouse in every single round, every single time.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that is going to be tough for the side of Colorado State is that they are going to be feeling pretty overwhelmed here, right? I don't think we're going to see their best on Control. And Control is one of those game modes that you have limited experience in anyways, because you're not playing 8s in Control. You rarely scrim it, if that. And that's why you see such a differential in Control teams. CSUN look like a team that's got everything together. They look fundamental. They look solid. They've got good gunfights. They've got good gameplay, game sense. But it's tough, right? You're going into a 3-0, and you said, you can watch back the VOD and stuff. I think there's also a certain level where you really do get outclassed. The Search and Destroy isn't one of them, but, I mean, how do you VOD reviews a map where you're pretty much like 250 to 70 if you discount the points that they got from that player leaving out, right? Like, it's just such a slamming that you've really got to look at what they're doing at most, right? It's not really like, what are we doing wrong? It's more like, what are they doing right? And that's what we're going to see here, I'm assuming, on the Control. Hasty Control, all things considered, not as brutal as like a Protocol or maybe another type of map, but it's still pretty tough, right? You can still get some spawn traps. It's not that easy. You can still make good plays, divvying up your resources to each zone. It's very difficult to go up against a good team on Control, especially on a map like Hacienda, where there is a lot of playability involved. And I have no doubt that CSUN are going to go 3-0, but I would at least like to see some signs of life here from Colorado. They looked pretty decent going into some of those rounds of the S&D. They can shoot back, and it's what I was talking about before, where they have good individual skill. It's just not enough against the overwhelming team that is CSUN.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Northridge, there's no denying, Remy, that the number 11 is there for a reason. And the rest of the group have had no real chance to even match them toe-for-toe in many instances across all 3 maps and modes. So this is sort of when you draw towards the Hacienda Control, especially knowing, like you've mentioned, how hard it is to control that spawn trap and easy it is to break out of it. I mean, in terms of the flux and fluidity, you'd sort of glue yourself towards certain players, and even such, Guilty. Great example from Northridge. Quick with an AR, great in-between player between the sub and the slow AR, and he's sort of the one that would have to fill the gap and sort of be the extra man when it comes to the head-to-head gunfights. I can't really see a situation now where we put Colorado at least in a conversation to compete head-to-head in terms of the gunfights and in terms of the set strategy. But in terms of development and where I might see Northridge slip up, I mean, if you saw in the S&D as well, they're so comfortable in this matchup, they are making quite simple mistakes. Now, it just depends upon how much they continue of this set mentality and do the mistakes start to form serious cracks throughout the series where Colorado just have to keep discipline and composure, two simple key fundamentals of the brain, to actually start seeing where their holes appear, because we are starting to see Northridge unravel a little bit, especially after that S&D performance.
Well, before we get this map 3 underway, we're going to send you guys to a quick little break. We have to get things sorted up on our end, so do not go anywhere. We have map 3 coming up here very, very shortly. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back. We're going to get map 3 here very shortly, and what is a pretty interesting series if you are just joining our CSUN, asserting some dominance here early on. With a very good hardpoint and a pretty solid search and destroy as well, Colorado State are going to stay alive here on the map 3.
And we'll go back to Hacienda again, of course. Now, to mention what the sort of set scene is for this one, this is a top-of-the-table clash here in the West Pacific Conference. Now, if you look towards the results so far, Northridge, currently ranked number 1 in the division and 11th overall in America, are pretty much in control of the series. And Colorado State, as well to mention, who has joined Northridge in terms of qualifying for the optimal division in the restructure happening this weekend. Yeah, this is a big learning curve and definitely a recount on what vetoes need to be placed in. I mean, it was unfortunate, again, to mention that Northridge did ban record hardpoint. That was their overall look in terms of the set 5 and what was their best and their best chance to go against Northridge. And having 3 Haciendas in there as well, just sort of, again, relies so much on the map pool and hoping that Northridge do not have a strong standing so far. We look towards the overall controls in terms of Northridge. I mean, their series count is pretty insane. I mean, they 3-1 State Aggies, who in turn defeated Colorado State. They 3-1 SJSU Blue, a 3-0 on Bronco, a 3-0 on CUSF Orange. Yeah, and you actually look over towards Colorado State and their 2 losses. I mean, they lost to 2 teams that CUSN 3-0'd. So it just kind of adds a little bit more of an incentive as to, okay, this is where we start placing our sort of our focus and just understanding again, maybe we can try and be tactical, but on the control. You mentioned it before in the post break where we have to focus on the spawn traps, ladies and gentlemen. It is difficult to lock in either side, even on the Hacienda control now in the 4v4 format of Black Ops 6. Omni movement though, feels like a grappling hook, so yeah, we can kind of sense exactly where the players in the new generation of Call of Duties in the PC era are gonna still kind of shine through comfortably, even some older gen players on the original specialist system. So yeah, looking towards the head-to-head though, I mean, the Colorado State that I know and probably can do well here is just punishing certain players. I mean, Guilty is the win condition for Northridge. That has been consistent across both maps we've seen him in so far. Even lagging out of map 1 and then rejoining 4 minutes later to finish the map with his team. I mean, God bless the stats team as well here at the CCL, counting 2 sets of KD because of a freak disconnect rally. So Colorado State do have quite a tall order, but I think that definitely is one key to victory.
Well, I think the lesson to be learned here, right, is that you're always going to come up against, well, majority of the time you're going to come up against teams that could be better than you, right? Teams that might be playing a certain way that you're not used to, teams that do things that you don't. And I think that for Colorado State, looking at that and analyzing that and really trying to adapt to that is going to be super beneficial for them, right? There's no way you get better unless you verse people who are better than you. Not everyone can be at the top. So Colorado State coming up into this matchup, right? It might be all doom and gloom, but I think you can really take some value and some at least sense where, okay, this team was slamming us, but why? Why were they doing that? We're not playing that bad. It's worked for us 6 times out of the 8 that we've played, and it didn't work this time by a very large margin. What do we need to fix? that is something that can be really, really valuable because CSUN is not the number 1 team, right? They're number 11 ranked, at least communally, right? From my understanding. So it's not going to be, you know, like they are the Titans, they are the best team in the entire thing, right? They are a very good team, they're very solid, but there are teams that are better, that will perform better, that they will struggle with again. This is a learning moment, a learning curve that they need to overcome and adapt to and kind of take it with stride, because it's not often that you see teams get outclassed this badly, but yeah, I mean, what else can you say? What else can you do? You can't really keel over and die. You've just got to give it a crack and see what you can do better.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no real other way of deep thinking to summarize what really is just a simple cut dry case. It just has to be a case of still sticking to the plan and still trying your hardest, because I feel like now we're to see Colorado State slip in any form of mental cognition or even just show signs of decline or lose interest in the overall head-to-head here against Northridge, but still retain the fire, right? Then it will be an issue. I mean, they have to be full throttle and they have to kind of get the most out of the team right now in this series, because the footage is going to be the most valuable thing to them. And knowing the restructure's coming in, they're going to be against a brand new set of opponents alongside Northridge, though. And if we actually look at the standings of West Pacific as well, just to mention what we already knew before again, 1 and 2 are 2 teams right now on display for you in Division 2, Northridge and Colorado. They're going to be going through, and given the head-to-head standings, I mean, they're going to be paired up again with the top 5 teams in Division 1. That's your CSUF Gaming Blue, Arizona State, New Mexico State Aggies, CSULB Gold, and San Diego State. And to mention again, Colorado State standings, I've already mentioned that SJSU Blue, they've already lost to them. So apart from working on their own division, the teams they've already played, they've got to have fresh vetoes for 5 new teams, which is just going to be a massive tall order for the captain and for the coaching staff to wrap their heads around, but definitely doable. It's going to be a lot of work right now in the lab to get Colorado ready for the new phase.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one of the things, right? I mean, you are in the top cut, so you're already playing well if you are Colorado State, and this is something as well. Like, as much as we're talking about this series in particular, they are performing pretty well overall, and that is an achievement in itself. It isn't just a cut and dry, you know, cut and dry like this is over. There's no other way. Like, this tournament, this structure, I should say, this league, not tournament, but this league. This season is where these teams develop, and we talk about it before, and we'll keep saying it throughout it. This is a perfect breeding ground for success and seeing weaker teams develop into much stronger teams. And the only way that you do that is by having strong teams versus weaker teams versus strong teams, weaker team versus weaker teams, strong teams versus strong teams. Everyone's learning and kind of sharing knowledge and experience between each other, and that's how you breed a very successful and a very healthy kind of community within a Call of Duty space or any kind of professional space. Realistically, if you think about it like that, right? The whole point of this is to showcase the players and also the development. And this is a very, very big learning curve for Colorado. Without further ado, though, let's get things started on the map 3. I'm very interested to see how Colorado handle this. It is going to be control. It is map 3. They are down 2-0. There has been a slamming 2 times in a row. But maybe we see, you know, something different here out of Colorado that'll give us a little excitement. Give us something that's going to make it interesting. Not necessarily a win. Just, I'm just hoping that it's not a 3-0 slamming and they don't get to show us anything that they've got.
And they are, of course, going to be returning to a map familiar that we have since far in the series, and as well in prior games. It's 3 beautiful lanes of Spanish countryside. No specialists this time around. They're going straight to Omni Movement and 4v4 in a head-to-head sprint towards the middle of the map. A set nage dodged by Blinky. The first bloods go to Colorado's way.
Yeah, already 3 down. Almost a 4. Blinky tries to route through B. They know he's there, but some nice shots from Blinky. Well, he's opened things up for him. He's going to push towards the spawn as well. Gets 2 big kills, even a 3rd, maybe shortly. Not quite. Strike shuts him down. Big gunfight there. Some kills go the way of Colorado. They set themselves up nicely here for the defense. It is the favorable side. But look at the stack developing on B. It's up to Korkev on the sub. this time to try and do something, and it's not going to quite go their way. 2 ticks already accrued, and a pretty dominant performance so far on the side of CSUN yet again.
And again, we just see Northridge have this level of confidence here in the head-to-head 3v3s. Close quarters, again, they do have the better submachine guns on paper. We actually look towards what has been purchased so far. Well, 3 ticks, soon to be a 4 for CSUN in the opening attacking round. 2 minutes on the clock, and still 20 lives plus a piece for both teams. So, still a fighting chance for Colorado, but need to execute some clean kills and also retain an average of 2 to 3 players alive, or the 1+ rule against Northridge, because in terms of map control, they're running absolutely riot and they're controlling both sides of the apex.
I mean, already a tick onto A is very, very difficult situation to navigate if you're Colorado State. They've got a lot of time. They've got the lives to work with. It's going to be an onslaught here on the A zone. Your saving graces is pretty easy to get an angle on there, pretty easy to clear them out. You kind of need a spawn trap to somewhat develop to realistically take it, or a big wave of kills down immediately. You can see Aqua as well, trying to route throughout the back line. Could pay some dividends for him later on, but they continuously stagger this A-zone cap, and it's actually netting them progress incrementally, and it will net them in that second tick. So it's kind of a battle of attrition here on this A-zone that Colorado State are losing at the moment.
And this is nothing short of concerning. I mean, in terms of the north side of the map here, again, it's a deep route from Optimal Flames alongside Strike, but in terms of positioning, it's bought all this time now for Northridge on the respawns to have the overload in mid, which can then, of course, create these awkward cutoffs. Aquado's done a fantastic job in terms of controlling the back parking spawn and just keeping Northridge away from the points here. They've done fantastic, and they've got a third left on A to convert in 40 seconds. Now it's about retaining the lives in the 9v9, and still, the splits go Northridge's way. They've got the extra man, the final 1v1 on point, but look at the spawns close to Colorado. They have the advantage on proximity.
Looking doing his best to try and net that time. 5 lives left for CSUN, so they could try and take down these lives if Korkev is careful enough. Does get overwhelmed, though. They do reset that progress on A. That's a massive time that they can really delay for. Optimal Flames in the back, though, is able to find 2, maybe even a 3rd here as well. Guilty gets swept. And I don't know what Optimal Flames is doing, changing his controller, but they are capping A. Blinky needs to stay alive. He's able to find 2, but a 1 versus 4 for Slifer with 20 seconds left on the clock. Not going to quite be an easy task, that's for sure. He is going to try and go up top, maybe find an angle here. Does get one in the sight, or zone, I should say, but there is a player trying to get hot on his heels. He's had 7 seconds to try and get something going. It's an impossible task, to say the least. He does drop down, though, and CSUN, they do get taken out. Colorado State at least defend around.
Absolutely, and you have to be also cautious of 1v3, age your final point, and look at the setup as well, ready to close it out. It's punishing from Colorado, but still a fantastic round. Optimal Flames, big free piece by the south side of the map, definitely converted what was the turning point for the round for Colorado, and why we can see more performances like this? I do hope so. I mean, Optimal Flames is really catching fire so far early on. What you must have to mention again is that it has been relatively quiet so far for Guilty. So we are seeing again the main catalyst for CSUN waiting to wake up and get into his rhythm. And now this time on the defending round, Northridge are going to apply their opening strategy here. It's commitment towards B for both teams, but look at where the set these are placed, because it's more punishing for Colorado to receive this damage early on.
Yeah, it's a full stack towards the B zone. You can see the kills trying to come through for Blinky. It's not going to happen. Too many players to deal with. Baru and Guilty now lining them up. Guilty with a 3, and that shuts down the entire attack of Colorado State. And, I mean, I've got to say, you're full stacking it as one-dimensional. It's just going to go that way against a team like CSUN. Not a whole lot of forethought in there. Just hit the B side, I guess, straight off the rip. And it's a readable play. CSUN take care of them very swiftly.
Now, Colorado have to be careful of spawns here, because where we are seeing Slifer's positioning here on the north side, it can be a more punishing system where Colorado will spawn south towards the B. And this is when now they start to, you know, shift players around, make sure, again, they're optimally not going to try and let that one slip. I mean, Optimal Flames, again, is finding these great passages of play through the center of the map. This is where, though, we have to rely heavily on Guilty to cover up the open lanes and just add extra kills to the bank account. Primarily a free wipe there for Northridge. And looking at where Colorado are, not a single tick gain so far. And look at that timer, Remy, it's running down.
Yeah, no progress at all being made from Colorado State on what was such a dominant round from CSUN on the attack. It's the complete opposite here. for Colorado. Guilty. Now looking to try and push this side. They are at least in the zone. So that is something, but Blinky takes care of one. Guilty with a nade over the top for the other. Guilty comes in for the other as well, and Slifer, that's a 4 down, 4 seconds left. That'll be the round. Not even a tick of an attack, so if it goes the distance, CSUN most likely will get that round 5 defense, but that's even if it makes it there so far. Colorado, 1. CSUN now answer back with their own.
I'm definitely in the thought of thinking alongside Northridge where they really want to prove something in the attacking rounds because they were very clinical and only lost on a man disadvantage to 1v3 with a sliver left on A. So they're very good at getting time on A, which is sort of the main conversation to have on a control and hacienda. The hardest point, the hardest to re-clear, the easiest for Colorado to spawn up on. But let's see how the opening breakoff looks now for Northridge on the attacking side. They go for a 2-2 split, covering both mid and the south side, and the same again for Colorado.
Blinky coming on in. Trying to press the attack a little bit here. Aqua's row around the side, gets caught. Guilty with a 2, Blinky with a 3rd. That's a lot of kills going the way of CSUN. Out of the top could spell damage here as well. That's already the first tick, and look how fast that progress is. No one even really close, so they're not going to be able to stop the second. This could be a very quick and swift B, with some lives being drained from Colorado as well. Wow, he just snapped to the ground there. That's an unfortunate drop shot. And you just see as well, the damage that CSUN is able to apply all over the map is just so hard to deal with. Blinky always in this back line. He's on a 5 spree. You've got another 5 from Guilty. They can't deal with all of these different points of pressure and try and alleviate it. You can see that they're trying to get out of this spawn, but Blinky is still a problem. And this could be one of the quickest attacking rounds that I've seen in a hot minute, Connie, on control. There is a player up top, though, and Rue is going to be watching for him. This is the last tick coming through. No one's close. I don't even think they can stop it. It will be an attacking round win from CSUN in a very, very swift fashion.
Yes, as I mentioned before the round even started, they want to prove attacking rounds that the A can be converted. They just really enhanced the system on this time around. Not just B, they know they're comfortable even in 2v4 situations. If they were to see an overload from Colorado, they then just installed 3 in mid with these punishing setups on the upper balcony to make sure that every single avenue was covered. And really where the final sort of call of order would be now for Colorado just has to be, again, committing to an idea and a set strategy. And in the head-to-heads, they know that there's an advantage against Northridge in the gunfights. But I think the utility in the opening round, the last instance, was really good. So let's see where the nades go again. They both split towards the middle. More of a south side impact though for Northridge. And the set nades are going straight towards the open pillars.
Blinky pushing up. Able to get 1. Quite the second. Aqua takes care of him. Getting over pressured up the top though. Some kills go the way of CSUN, but roughly even so far. Just not really much progress gained on the attacking side of Colorado. C1's trying to go around the side, but Slifer there ready for that kill to pick up. Doesn't know there's another player pushed up. You're getting some kills back and forth here to try and alleviate this B site, or B zone I should say. But nothing real being gained from Colorado yet.
And again, this is what I mentioned the spawns right now because Northridge have got too many players floating below the lines. So Colorado are getting really close towards B. Fortunately, though, they've got the utility on spawn and have gone to nade school for a diploma. Definitely. They're placing them well onto this section of the map and they are keeping pressure on Colorado. So it really comes down to now where the spawns are. Look at where Northridge are coming in. Very far away. The Colorado south side push has paid dividends in terms of timing, but they are losing lives crucially, so their pressure can't be applied fully.
It's a tick. It's 2 ticks, sorry. Now coming through, but Guilty cleans up the zone single-handedly. Almost makes the right read there. Spots one up in the top window. And, I mean, Colorado with a nice attack on the B's zone. It's just not enough. Again, they're just falling short. It's better than we saw in the last attack. But to stay alive in the series, it's kind of what you would expect. Guilty runs out of bullets, snaps around. Oh, my God. I mean, Guilty's just flowing. Not really much you can do. 17 seconds left. We need an attack here from Colorado. We need a sign of life. But so far, they're stuck in the spawn. I think they've pretty much given up. No one really running anywhere on the map. 7 seconds is all you have to work with, and this might be a pretty done and dusted series. Slifer just going back and forth on the analog stick, doing zigzags, making sure that they can't get anywhere close. And CSUN with a very nice series and showing why they're number 1 in the division.
Yeah, no denying who the top dog is so far in the West Pacific region. And for our next series today as well, remaining in West, but going to our favorite, the glorious Sunbelt. So this is at least now the final standings here for this matchup. Colorado and CSUN will, of course, be in the same division after the restructure for mention. But overall, when we look at the decimation job that Northridge have applied to Colorado, simply fantastic Call of Duty across many fronts and lots of key players to highlight as well. Sniper and Guilty, very quick on the analog sticks, as you mentioned. Crisp aim is all I could describe how they move those guns across any sort of section to re-clear an angle. And I just can't really mention again just how good they are, right? They're very fantastic and deservedly so. I'm excited to see what they bring now to the second phase of play here in the CCL. When we have the restructure, and then eventually after March, we have our conference championships. Let's see how they keep building their Call of Duty, because so far it's exciting, along with the coaching staff and themselves as a very strong roster.
Well, I got to say, it's a great performance for CSUN. It shows, their dominance and really gave Colorado a run for their money. It just wasn't enough from Colorado today. Maybe we see something else, but for now, we're going to go to a quick break. Before we see this third and final matchup for today. But we'll be back with some more CCL action here shortly.